Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you happen to be. I have on the screen reminder to click go live on Instagram because we're trying something new. Apparently, you can stream on Instagram, so I've been messing around with stream keys and all kinds. There's no prompt on Instagram though. Thanks, Instagram. Hold on a minute. I'll see if I can do it. Go live. Fuck it. You know what it is. If it works, it works. How we doing? Good morning. Cow Daily back again. We're talking about like things that aren't very dark at all today. If you believe that, you'll believe anything. Just clocked. I'm looking a little bit like Shamima Begum back in the day. I'll take this off. There you go. I'll take my hood off. Dressed all in black, and that's for the audio people with a hood up and that, with a black hat on as well. Just looking like I'm wearing a fucking hijab and that. I've sworn it's 1 minute in. Oh dear. What can we do? Morning, everybody. Hiya, Linda. Hiya, Slaz. Hiya, Jojo. Colin, Andy, Zoe, Michael, Leon. How are you doing? So we're going to talk about the lad who set himself on fire today, Aaron Bushnell. Not just about him, but also about sort of the philosophical concepts that like self-immolation can sort of bring up, which sounds mad as hell. Like, but they are them. And we'll look at some of the history of this. And we'll look at whether it's futile or not. Also, we'll be talking about a bag of other things. Just going to dip through a few other things. And there's one thing I'm going to throw up, and I don't even know what I'm going to say. It's just like I've got a prompt. And I'm going to just talk because I just feel like I've got things that I need to get off my chest and just externalize them because I think some of you will like definitely some of the people watching or listening to this like will definitely relate. I'll talk about some personal things, but there'll be no names mentioned, of course, as ever. But it's part of this whole thing. It's part of where we're all at in 2024, you know, I feel at least. So, yeah. Also, before that, we'll be talking about something that's double funny, which is this. Let's just go straight to it. 2 seconds. I'll lob it up on the screen. Dink. That isn't it. However, that's definitely not funny what I've just thrown up on the screen at all. Right. What's up on the screen is this. Ex-Boyzone star claims Taylor Swift performed satanic rituals in front of fans. This is from the Belfast Telegraph. This quote is from former Boyzone star Shane Lynch. That's why I've stopped listening to those types of music myself because it doesn't suit my spirit. Former Boyzone star Shane Lynch claims Taylor Swift is performing satanic rituals in front of millions of fans. The committed Christian says some music is a danger to society because artists are channeling the devil in plain sight. Entrepreneur Sean aired his controversial views as he and his wife Sheena, the Real Housewives of Chester star, launched their latest business venture under their Amen label. Shane first shared his views on Satanism in the music industry last year. On a premier Christian radio podcast, he claimed Sam Smith and Beyonce are so demonic, it's unbelievable. He added that during his time in the industry, he'd witnessed satanic rituals where albums were prayed over to ensure success. Hold on a minute. What is that? What does that mean? They were praying over albums. Isn't he a Christian? Like praying in what sense? I need more information here. Hopefully this goes on. He told Sunday World this week he believes Taylor Swift is also an advocate of Satanism. Shane believes there are alarming hidden meanings within Taylor Swift concerts. I think when you're looking at a lot of the artists out there, a lot of their stage shows are satanic rituals live in front of 20,000 people without them realizing and recognizing, said Shane. You'll see a lot of hoods up and masks on and fire ceremonies. Even down to Taylor Swift, one of the biggest artists in the world, you watch one of her shows and she has 2 or 3 different demonic rituals to do with the pentagrams on the ground, to do with all sorts of stuff on her stage. But to a lot of people, it's just art, and that's how people are seeing it, unfortunately. Swift has been previously dragged into satanic conspiracies with claims she makes the hand signal of horns during shows. It is alternately said she is using a sign language gesture for I love you. Okay, then, that'll do on the information, I feel. From what I can gather, there's some Irish musicians who went down the Crystal Fash route, Jim Cole being one of the other ones. And I just think like there's a couple of things for me here. One of them being like, do you remember? Well, it's the Alan Partridge monkey tennis thing again. Boy's Own Star pointing the fingers at fucking Taylor Swift about satanic rituals and that. This is where we are at, and this is where we are at in terms of people believing all kinds of stuff. And I mean, we say it every day, certainly online, and it's certainly something that we'll be touching on later in terms of like people believe in things just to sort of fit into their worldview rather than like, nah, I don't even fucking know. I don't even know anymore. I'm just reporting. I'm just showing you the things at this point. Now I'll offer some analysis later. 2 seconds. I really need a drink of this. We're gonna go for Ravi just so I can have a couple of swigs of this wonderful lemon balm. I'll give you an update on the caffeine if you want as well. This is Ravi, not Ravi actually. Oh Lord, that's loud. So caffeine update. Day 9, which is the outer edge of the acute withdrawals, and it's kicked me absolute humping. I did it before and it was bad, but it wasn't this bad. Like, but I'm starting to come out the other end. I am still having the odd like anxiety spike. I had a savage one for about 5 minutes last night, and it just went away, which is normal for this. It's like receptors and things are realigning, so it's positive. So there's nothing to worry about, and you know, you do you. But for me, you know, I'm having a bad one if I push the caffeine button. There's no doubt about it. That lemon balm, man. What a drink. Honestly, it's like you drink it and it feels like it goes through your entire vascular system with goodness, you know? Obviously it doesn't, but like, it's nice. Anyway, some more comments. Who could it be? JC, no, not that one. Nice to see you. So he's saying that him and the lads took part in that shit too. Is that why they had so many number ones with their beige shy music? I've not thought of it like that, JC, but quite possibly. Jez Hunt, nice to see you. I've not watched the Taylor Swift gig, but I don't think she's praising Lucifer. Be cooler if she did. Hey, there's a case to be made. An absolute case to be made. Could somebody do us a favor, right? Could somebody go to Instagram and see if we're actually streaming on Instagram? Because I've got the tick up in the right of my screen that it is, but it also said I had to go and like click live on it. So I don't know. And I'm actually live now, so I can't go look. But it would be really cool if you could have a look and let one know. Also, if you want to support our work, go to patreon.com/cowdaily. You can make one-off contribution to our work by going to the PayPal link in description. Cheers. Thank you very much for that. Much appreciated. Read. Let's see what's coming next, shall we? What we got here? Oh yeah, I ran this thing on the Instagram account, and apparently it's our shadow ban risk is high on there. So obviously we know all these things on various platforms, but I just thought I'd check it out. And apparently that's the crack. But we march on. Two paper cups and a bit of string. Right, so just a quick drink, and then we'll go into the thing about Aaron Bushnell. So before we do, all the history of reading makes you feel warm and cozy and proud. You're not reading history, you're reading propaganda. History should hurt sometimes because it's ugly and harsh. And I think that's part of why people are switching off about a variety of things, which may link into this topic I've got for later. Things that have discomfort or a level of discomfort attached to them, I can understand entirely. And we need to get to a place of empathy and understanding, I feel, why people are deciding to switch off from things. Maybe they switched on to Palestine, but they can't be switched on to climate. Maybe they switched on to climate and they can't be switched on to COVID. I think it's crippling people mentally, what reality is. And I get that. But also, I wanted to do this today about Aaron Bushnell, because I think people are in danger of like putting somebody on like beatification of somebody essentially, like the movement, martyr and whatnot. And I think that's dangerous when people are so traumatized and quite clearly like sort of like having a what looks to me like some kind of mass mental break. When people feel powerless, they do things like Aaron did. So let's unpack that and just see what's a come and go essentially, pals. I mean, it's not without like, I mean, what I'm not going to do just from the jump, right? I'm not playing the video. If you want to see a man burned to death, go do it. It's there online for you. I just don't think putting more trauma on. I watched the whole thing and it's traumatizing you. You know what I mean? Clearly, but I do it in the course of the work, and it was horrible. It's horrible to watch. And I honestly don't think there's any need to watch it. Right. Here it is. So this is from Newsweek. Who is Aaron Bushnell? US airman sets himself on fire by Israeli embassy. An active duty, this from Khalida Rahman, by the way. An active duty member of the US Air Force set himself on fire outside the Israeli embassy in Washington, D.C. on Sunday to protest against Israel's war in Gaza, according to reports and video posted on social media. Excuse me. Aaron Bushnell, 25, of San Antonio, Texas, died after being transported to a local hospital on Sunday afternoon. A spokesman for the Metropolitan Police Department told Newsweek via email. My name is Aaron Bushnell. I am an active duty member of the United States Air Force, and I will no longer be complicit in genocide, he says in a video of the incident. I'm about to engage in an extreme act of protest, but compared to what people have been experiencing in Palestine at the hands of their colonizers, it's not extreme at all. This is what our ruling class has decided will be normal. The video shows Bushnell walk up to the driveway of the Israeli embassy, set his phone down on the ground and pour an unknown liquid from a bottle over himself and ignite it whilst yelling "Free Palestine" repeatedly. And just to interject at this point, it's absolutely one of the worst things you'll ever say in your life. So going on, law enforcement officers are heard screaming at Bushnell to get on the ground. One points the gun at him while he collapsed on the ground, screaming in pain. So a lot of people, like, just to start with the last bit there, have been given the busy like some grief. People will fall back. Look, at the end of the day, like, police are there to be criticized because there's a lot to criticize, right? But what we're looking at is a human being looking at somebody on fire dying, and he'll have fell back on his training. You know, he'll be traumatized today. He'll be traumatized for the rest of his life. You know, so again, accessing empathy and as much as we possibly can. That's a human being too, you know? I mean, there's loads of reasons why the people join the police. So, this isn't me flying the flag for the police, just flying the flag for humanity, really. Must have been horrible for the lad. Awful. There's your mate there, Aaron. This from Pics on Reddit. So what isn't being reported, right, is things like this. So this is a screenshot from the Green and Pleasant community on Reddit, and this is from Aaron's Facebook account. He posts the circle A of anarchy. Many of us like to ask ourselves, what would I do if I was alive during slavery or the Jim Crow South or apartheid? What would I do if my country was committing genocide? The answer is you're doing it right now. Just on this, let us know in the comments what you think of what Aaron did. This is from Hearsay Evidence. Just wanted to put that up there on the screen. That's his last words. We've just read them out. This is one of the key things that I wanted to sort of unpack and explore today. On the left on the screen for audio people from 2003 is a picture of Rachel Corrie. Rachel Corrie was an activist in Palestine, and she was run over, if I remember correctly, by an Israeli bulldozer. On the right is a picture of Aaron Bushnell with 2024 underneath. The caption reads, "We will never forget you. You did not give your lives in vain. You were heroes with pure heart." Right. Martyrdom. That's what's happening here. It's like a kind of beatification of people. And I think it's dangerous. And the reason why I feel it's dangerous is we have a lot of people out there who are mentally unwell. They're being gaslit by society in general and each other. And they're also participating in that because of a level of discomfort. That leads to a certain level of desperation. We've all heard people going, I just don't feel like I can do anything about this. If people get to a desperate place, and look, there's been a big focus on Aaron Bushnell's mental health or otherwise, and people online like diagnosing him, sort of thing. But maybe the extremities of 2024 and all these cross-cutting crises are leading to people thinking that this is a rational act. Now, really think about that. People may rationally feel that it's a rational thing to do, like a rational protest. And given that we've got so many people who like are hanging by a thread as it is, they may see this and feel like this is the thing to do. Now, I don't feel like it's the thing to do. On your screen is the self-titled Rage Against the Machine album. And do you know what it is, right? Like when this came out, I just noticed the fire. I didn't actually notice the guy in the bottom left until many years later. And that actually speaks to what I'm trying to say here. This person was a monk. So the burning monk on the cover of Rage Against the Machine is Cheech Quang Duc, an elderly Buddhist monk immolating himself on a main intersection in Saigon, Vietnam on June the 11th, 1963, to protest the rule of, I'm really going to try hard to pronounce this, Ngo Dinh Diem, the American-backed leader of Vietnam. Bloody hell, that was hard. But we try. I'm from Gateshead, so you know, I barely speak English, so don't judge. So anyway, the point is this. That guy, I don't know if anybody else, I didn't see this on the screen until I read about it later and realized that it was on the front cover of the album. Did what he did stop the Vietnam War? No, it didn't do that. My point is this, right? People who are that passionate and clearly across the issues, like Aaron Bushnell, the Buddhist monk, and another guy we're going to introduce soon, we need them here speaking up. Imagine the power of having an active service member now, a young lad as well, 25, articulate as his friends said he was, speaking up in uniform, saying this. Look at like things like Joe Glenton in the UK. Like we need more and more people like from a forces perspective speaking up. Just generally, you know? And his voice he silenced his own voice. Now I understand the symbolism of things, but were you aware of this, right? The environmental protester who self-immolated was Wynne Allen Bruce, a climate activist and Buddhist from Boulder, Colorado. He set himself on fire in the plaza of the United States Supreme Court building in Washington, D.C. on Earth Day, which was April the 22nd, 2022. His fatal self-immolation was characterized by his friends and his father as a protest against climate change. Did you know? Like, because I bet you the majority of people watching and listening to this didn't know. So I get it. I understand the desperation, and we're going to explore some of that later from a personal perspective. And maybe it's like, you will chip in on that too about how you feel. But this isn't right, man. Like young people, we're losing them here. So obviously with the Buddhist monk, the lad last year was a Buddhist. His friends said Aaron Bushnell's an anarchist. All the best people, gone. Their voice does not continue. People, what they do psychologically with trauma psychology, and we're all doing this every day with these competing crises, is whenever something's like uncomfortable and our brains are that full up, boom, exit out. It speaks to that thing about like, it's not necessarily about the evidence, it's about how people make you feel. when they're delivering it. And they could be delivering it in the nicest, most good faith way possible. It still makes a person feel uncomfortable. Quite a lot of people are off. So that's what we're dealing with here. And like, that's off a conversation, or here's some evidence. Maybe you have to do some changing. I don't know. But if it's on that small a level, people are gonna fucking do everything they can to memory hole somebody setting themselves on fire. So I looked at that, and even when I was watching it happen, I was like, "This is so futile, man." I mean, you've seen the way the media Newsweek article didn't mention he was an anarchist, didn't mention any of the other detail. It's just bump, news cycle and move on. That'll be it. Because you honestly think that the military-industrial complex want this amplified to fan the flames of this, so to speak, so more and more people see this? No, clearly not. What they're going to do is misrepresent it. So this lad, Aaron, he'll just be walked off or whatever. One of them, isn't it? However, there's a flip side to this. How do you think people in the Muslim world are viewing this? There may be a positive to come out of that, because it's not just about one context. So, this is me self-reflecting and understanding, and maybe this is just me trying to externalize my discomfort around it, because psychology applies to everybody. So let's do that as well. I do feel discomfort about this, big discomfort. The fact that like somebody got that sort of, I don't want to use the word depressed or rational or anything like that, because it could be either of them. And none of us can know what was going on for that lad. But what we do know is what we're all experiencing together. And what we're experiencing together is something abhorrent that only happens once every few generations. And here we are. I just got like a little glitch on the internet there. So if you could let us know whether you're still hearing us loud and clear, that'd be appreciated. So it just feels like really hopeless. I just saw it as a hopeless act. I just didn't see it as any kind of inspirational thing. And I just don't see this person as a martyr. And I just wanted to do this today, like not to report it, but just to like say, man, like it's dangerous to like martyr somebody like this, because more people will do this. And it has no fucking end. Like it has no positive outcome. History's shown with that. That Buddhist monk didn't stop the Vietnam War. Climate change is not being addressed at the level it was supposed to since 2022 and win Alan Davis. None of it. What we need to be doing is speaking up and using my voice. And look, if you're across this kind of stuff, the genocide and everything like that, I celebrate you, man. I do. But we need you to go off, and if you're feeling a certain kind of way, have a rest and then come back. There's too many like damaged people around where this could be like it's a way out. It's a very visible form of taking your own life. And just feels horrible, doesn't it? Anyway, we'll see what you think and what you feel in your hearts. So anyway, Jez is saying history is an uncomfortable read. Certainly is, pal. Nice to see you, Sophie Woodall. All the best. Jez goes on. I think it's a hell of a statement. Soldiers normally get told to go and get killed. It's rare to see one choose their method of death. It's no matter than everything else surrounding this. Do you know what it is? I hope you're right, and I'm not. I hope it does like lead to something like productive and positive. And you're right, it is a real sort of visual statement in regards to a person in army fatigues, or I think it was the US Airmen, camouflage, setting themselves on fire. I really hope so. I hope something comes out of it, even just for his family. Liam's saying, we know who Aaron Bushnell is now because of what he's done. No idea who he was and what he did before that. And I think Aaron's opinion was a piss in the ocean before, but now his last words are louder. I hear you, right? But I actually know Joe Clinton. I've talked to him loads of times. You know what I mean? And he did what he did around the Afghan war. He's wrote many books. He's a talking head and getting millions of views on Double Down News and things like that. We need more Joe Clintons. You know, I hear you, Liam. I do, but I swear to you, they will memory hole it. Let's see what Liam goes on to say. Don't encourage it at all, but understand how the feeling of having a voice shouting as loud as you like, it means nothing because it's not getting out there or through to others. And that's exactly why, I mean, it sounds like, you know, this is very much a conflict of interest. We should be amplifying independent media, but we should, though. You know, and I do that as well. It's not just me saying amplify my work, amplify lots of other independents' work. Green New Deal Media being a good one I've discovered relatively recently. So, you know, if that's what we want to do, it's down to us. But also we need to understand that, like, you know, COVID, Palestine, climate change, it's all being squashed in terms of reach and whatever. Funny that, isn't it? Nice one. Thanks, everybody. Sophie, David Teasdale, etc., for letting us know that it sounds all right now. I actually turned my phone off and it seemed to work. Great stuff. Monsieur Hunt, Charlotte Church using her voice, getting choirs together. I find Welsh tradition and it's annoyed a lot of bellends. Good lass. Do you know what it is? I nearly included her in today's show. And I'd probably include it going forward, man. You're dead right. Like, what a great woman she is, eh? Like the way she speaks, the way she puts herself in the firing line, and the way she articulates a lot of this to people who normally wouldn't be able to hear or listen to it. I've got all the time and respect in the world for her. Do you know what it is, man? The Welsh, absolutely just amazing. Amazing. Brilliant. Sophie's saying, it's worse when people are complaining about the weather than laughing about global warming. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Tell us about it, mate. It's absolutely and utterly doing my beans in. Michael is saying, the dead cannot save the world. Quite. Carlos is saying, I agree that the chap is so much better alive and out of Caton than dead as a media silence martyr. Indeed. Di is saying, it takes so much courage to continually challenge the media narratives. Yes, indeed it does. And without putting myself on some kind of weird ego pedestal, I know. And I hope to tell you the full range of why one day, but we'll see. It's not because I don't want to, I fucking do, but like I'm also understanding that like there's many ways to skin a cat. Many ways to skin a cat, isn't there? patreon.com/cowdaily. That's patreon.com/cowdaily. If indeed you want to support independent media and keep us flying, please go to that. Also, PayPal link in the description if you want to make a one-off contribution to our work, which would be really helpful more than ever right now, to be quite honest with you. That would be really cool. Right, a few more things just to not rush through, but get through, have a look at. So, wars should be financed through GoFundMe and fought by those cheering for it. Yes. This from Eco Marxy on your Twitter. There's something phenomenally evil about a country that forces you to work under threat of starvation and homelessness, forces you to pay taxes under threat of prison, and then uses the taxes from your labor to fund a racist genocide. So, maybe instead of diagnosing somebody we've never met, we should probably look at the commonalities here and look at the desperation that is driving people to fucking self-immolate. So let's remind ourselves, if all the history you're reading makes you feel warm and cozy and proud, you're not reading history, you're reading propaganda. History should hurt sometimes because it's ugly and harsh. Nothing more ugly and harsh than a man self-immolating. I just like to say, rest in power, Aaron Bushnell. Clearly one of us, wasn't he? But I swear to God, I wish he'd never done this. We needed him. So if there's any active service people out there, or just anybody in general who's feeling desperate, seriously reach out. My inbox is open. I don't say this as some kind of like, actually, milkthecowpodcast@gmail.com as well. You can get us more directly and quicker there quite often. I'll hear what you've got to say and we'll try and get you some help. But please use your considerable voice and power for being here and telling bad people they're bad. Anyway, I need a quick drink. Here's some Ravi. Geordie Racers. I don't know if I've ever told you this, but the lad, Spuggy, who was the lead character in Geordie Racer, an old BBC children's TV programme, for those who know and who don't. He lived in the next street along for me, and he was older than me. And me and my pal used to torture him by, not literally, by running around shouting Spuggy at him and singing Geordie Racer. And there was one time there was a blizzard, and stupidly on the way up from school I did that again. And he caught us. He fucking battered us. Ice balls in the face, fucking few digs, and I deserved it. And I was bleeding afterwards. So I'd just like to apologise, Leon. All the best here. Not Leon in the comments, the lad's name was Leon. Flying free, flying high, crashing wings across the sky. Geordie Racer, fly. It's for the true heads, and I'm supposed to be having a drink, but when it comes to Geordie Racer's tales, I didn't plan this, just hit my head when Ravi started. So yeah, sorry Leon. What we got here? See, losing respect for someone is always such a weird thing because you don't hate the person, you just don't feel the need to ever speak to them again or even think about them in the same way you just done. I need to speak on this because I've had to do this. I'm fortunate in the sense that before the pandemic, a lot of this shaking out process had occurred, either my choice or their choice. But since the ongoing pandemic, let's get the language right, I just couldn't like stay in the same kind of contact with certain people. Now I want to delineate between love and respect. There's people, right, who desperately dislike now still, but I'll always love them. You know, we're shared years together. And it's the main reason I haven't actually spoke up in a personal perspective, even though I had fucking good reason to, by the way, from the shit that's been talking about me. But I haven't because of love. Respect, it's a different thing entirely, isn't it? I can start here. I can love somebody deeply, right? But if I don't respect them, it's time-bound. And I've learned that about myself. If I look back, things that have come to an end, things that have ran the natural course, or things where they've been made to come to an end. And I've always thought that if there's a safety issue, then no matter what, people will rise to that. And that hasn't happened on a few different safety issues. And I found some peace in removing people from my life, but also it's been really hard because it's like this kind of like Dutch door action, I believe they call it, where it kicks you in the arse. It's like much, much, much better to not have to see people like doing some really wild shit. And I'm talking in generalities because I love these people. But I just can't watch what's going on just generally. Like it was and still does to a degree. I can't, what I'm doing is I'm insulating myself from the inevitable. And some of yous out there might be doing the same, I don't know. But that like means loneliness. What I'm talking about is, well, obviously the pandemic, but there's other things as well, isn't there? And it's very lonely when you're in that transition from, like, you make new friends, but also like you're kind of leaving people behind. And that's been upsetting for us because you share a history with people, but if you didn't respect them, then in the past I've let things go on too long. I'm not like that anymore. I'm a completely changed man. And I haven't went the other way. I'm not brutal or anything. I'm just rational. Like, I just like understand that in some respects I have to keep my brain in a jar and just get on with what I'm doing. And I suppose in some respects that is it's not well balanced in my life at all. For example, like Christmas, I spent it on my own, and that was a choice. I've chosen to do that before the pandemic, but mate, I've chosen to do that loads of times. But this time it was kind of like different. It was like I have a much greater chance of getting unwell if I get infected again. It's just the way it is. I mean, we don't know whether that's forever or whether it's just now, but it's definitely just now. So, I can't continue, like, the people that I'm having to, like, move on from, I can't watch what's happening. I can't do it. I just can't. I've had too much trauma before the pandemic from a load of other different things to be able to do this anymore. Like, just pretend that I agree with how people are living, because I just wish, we lived in a world where I could do detail, but I can't. But I needed to talk about this, and I needed to talk about this on the fucking show because I've talked about this, like, not, other people's stuff privately with them. I've never actually spoke about what, like, a lot of what I'm talking about to anybody. But that's love. Respect is a different thing. If people cross my borders and disrespect us, that's also time bound too. So, as and when that happens, who I'll decide. But there can't be life without accountability. And what that means is, it's like, and I'll read this again: losing respect for someone is always such a weird thing, and it is, because you don't hate the person, and I don't. You just don't feel the need to ever speak to them again or even think about them in the same way. You just don't. Some of them I'll never speak to again. Fucking fact. Some of them I might not get a chance to, because the inevitable's coming. And when you love people, it's really hard to watch them fucking. It's just been hard. So I just wanted to put that out there, and that's the most I've ever spoken about these things, and it's the most I'll ever will speak about this, at least on here. There'll be face-to-face conversations happening though. And I suppose what I'm asking from yous is like, in your lives, have you had to move on and make these strong decisions? Because the last thing I needed during this time was to do that, because you do, as I say, expect people to act accordingly, but they don't. So anyway, fuck them. In completely unconnected news, only respecting women you're attracted to isn't respecting women. So on the page we had a gentleman, we'll call him loosely, who wants to. He said something like, women are only nice to him because, like, if they're flirting or some mad shit like that. And I just feel really so desperately sad for people who feel this way about women. Like, what is going on there? That lad was like fully out of his mind, like, but also there was one person jumping in and with his whole chest, like defending it. But what I'm heartened by, and also women that I've spoken to in the last 24 hours are heartened by, is the amount of men who stepped up and challenged it. There was loads of years. And only respecting women you're attracted to isn't respecting women. I think you know that. And I just wanted to sort of acknowledge you on the show. It makes all the world a difference when we step up and push back against these type of non-C figures. Catching me drift. And you know those uncomfortable conversations we've been talking about throughout the show. Unwillingness to have these uncomfortable conversations is literally getting people abused and killed. So we've got to challenge it at source. I've ultimately blocked that lad from the comments because he was started acting in bad faith. People had seen his page and he's a proper Andrew Tate cult member and he was trying to lie and it's just like, whatever, you were done here. But I think those things, they do serve a purpose to let those conversations run because there was a positive that came out of that. And yeah, it's a good thing. So well done, everybody. Well done, grotters. Well done, grot bags, people. This person I wanted to put up, I've actually exchanged emails with Nate Quarry's a former MMA fighter, right? And he you really should follow him. He's a good bloke. And just as an aside, he's funding out of his own pocket with somebody else a class action lawsuit against the UFC for basically paying shit money to fighters. But anyway, Nate Quarry says this. Here's a fun game. Anytime someone tells you about the scourge of wokeness, say woke. I've never heard that term. What does that mean? And then watch them fumble with a way to justify not treating people with respect as the basis of it all. Because that's the thing. We're all being woked off or weirdoed off, or even some people are like trying to claim that I'm mentally ill, which is like, lad, that's a bit rich coming from you, like. But thanks for the diagnosis based on absolutely nothing. I'm pleased to say that I'm not, and certainly no more or less than anybody else currently, and probably less than ye. In fact, yes, definitely. Just on a Shamima Begum tip, on the left, UK schoolgirl who faced terror charges as wake-up call about grooming, says The Guardian. On the right, Shamima Begum loses appeal against removal of British citizenship. That happened this week. And then your classic groomed terrorist Dulux colour chart to find out what we're all supposed to think. Oh, she's white, is she? Okay, she was groomed. Oh, she's brown, wasn't groomed. There's like literally, do you know on this, right? There's people even in our comment section, like decent people, right? And they are. They're like, wow, fucking wow. And I've literally just said she's 15 and she was groomed by nonces with guns. Like, however, man, think of it like this, right? There's a 15-year-old lass. She's groomed by nonces with automatic rifles. You would be like, what? We've got to stop that happening. Not like remove her citizenship and have her appeal while she's sitting there in custody with the Kurds. It's like, look, it's a 15-year-old British citizen. People keep going on about like, oh, you know, like this whole thing is based on some kind of like moral betterment than ISIS, right? Which, you know, you'd be having to work pretty fucking hard to not be morally better than those fucking absolute fascist monsters. And yet here we are. And that's not happening, is it? That's not happening. Our country is throwing one of its citizens to the fucking four winds. She's still a young lass now. Absolute rotitude from that. Like, look, wouldn't it be prudent to bring her back, charge her with things, and in the meantime, question her and get as much bloody intelligence out of her as possible? Have her, you know, serve a sentence and whatever. And then obviously after that, she's going to have to be like sort of watched and that, isn't she? But she's a British citizen, same as I am, same as any other British citizen who's watching or listening to this. Whether you like it or not, And if a country's going to claim like they're morally superior to any other country, they'd better be morally superior. And throwing a lass who was groomed by nonces with guns to the fucking four winds like this says everything, not just about the country, the government, but also quite a lot of its people and its their susceptibility to racism, which they don't even know, because that's what it is. So it's about those blind spots that we need to pick out for ourselves, isn't it? Really, Reed. Let's take some comments, and then I've got a little video, and then we're gonna do on. We're gonna get off. I'm gonna go and I don't know. I need to like do some weights or something like that. Timothy James Hill, nice to see you, pal. Hope you're good too. Asked you a question in the patrons forum, dude. Just want to see how you're getting on. So hopefully you've seen it. Right. What we got? Jez, solitude is a peculiarity. It's a mind shift from being alone to being with yourself. It's very addictive, though. It really is. And I know we've talked about this in the past. Like, I enjoy it. Like, there's a big difference between being alone and lonely. Like, I have to be alone. Like, I want to be alone more than I want to be around people. But I have, like, you know, I do have an extrovert side sometimes when I'm out. But do you know what it is, right? I know I'm going off into the little weeds here, but like I've noticed since I've like knocked alcohol on the head, well, reduced it radically right down. Like I'm drank for like 3 or 4 months. I did drink, regretted it. Hadn't drank for 4 or 5 months before. 2 seconds, I'll pull this up. Excuse me, I've got like a bit of a phlegminess going on. So it is addictive and I enjoy it, but quite often it gets like misconstrued by people who like seem to gain energy from being around people. And that's fine. Like I don't mind that. I'm not hating on that. Like I think people should do that, you know? I think people should do whatever the fuck I want to do as long as it's not hurting anybody else. You know, that's literally how I live. And I just don't think it needs to be any more fucking complicated than that. I don't need anybody to tell me how to treat people, you know? Lucifer Lestrange breezes in through the door late as fuck. I'd expect that from you, Lucifer. Every time. I hope you're feeling well anyway and doing good, Lucifer. I've seen you on. Nice to see you. Read. Di is saying, we all have to learn to be kind to ourselves, and sometimes it can be brutally hard. I had to do that myself way too many times. I hear you, mate. I've had to do it too, and it's fucking hard, man. Oh, I just seen this. Tim saying, I had my notice in this morning, long COVID and fire service work incompatible. Really sorry to hear that, dude. Let us continue that conversation in the parents forum, though, eh? Sophie is saying, I feel like solitude is key for finding out who you are as a person. I fully agree, and that's why I feel in a lot of different spiritual traditions, solitude is like baked in. You know, it's baked in as a way to like sort of, you know, find a personal evolution and enlightenment. And I just plan on spending more time with trees, mate, to be fucking honest with you. Right, what I'm going to do is, right, I'm going to play this video, and it's a little bit of sort of hope, I don't know. So anyway, this is from Elad Neoharai, which is at Elad Neoharai on Twitter. Yesterday, anti-Netanyahu and anti-war protests rocked Tel Aviv in a way they haven't since October the 7th. Hostage families and many others came out to stand up to the government, and the government responded violently. Incredible video by Eli Katzoff capturing the protests. So we're going to play out with this. I may offer some analysis at the end. I may not. It depends on how much tea I've drank, I suppose. But let us have a look. Let us see what is going on. And as far as I know, this is not being reported by the media. I wonder why. Check it.
באותו זמן מילואימניקים קורסים בלי תמיכה ותקציב שהובטח להם, מפקירים את גורלם. הממשלה למטרות יחסי ציבור בבית החולים סירב אור להיפגש איתו. על הבמה הזו ביחד אנו אומרים כי אנחנו מאמינים בנציגי ישראל. פוסלים לנו הסיכויים עבורם. די לכאב המשפחות מעל ל-140 ימים אם לא יקודם מתווה ההדרה.
Yeah, we're going audio people kicking right off. The police move in.
A horse just stepped over me.
Cannons.
Give up!
That'll do it, lads and lasses. Just a quick one on this. There's hell on in Israel at the minute. You remember I was following this runner, right? He was like just an Israeli runner. He's actually from South Africa originally, but we'll not get into the problematic nature of two settler colonialist passports. But anyway, he has stopped. His whole vibe, which is why I got on this, was from October last year, and I've watched every video. And he's had mad access to the IDF. Like, I don't even know what the hell's going on there. But then now, all of a sudden, without any warning, he's just posting videos of him running again. And it seemed very strained, the last protest, because they were doing like this whole thing where bring them home and like doing runs for bringing them home and all of that. Like, you know, at the start, it was all Israel together. But what's happening is Israel is coming apart at the seams. And it's not the people who would normally think like leftists and all of that. I mean, they're involved. Obviously, it's families of the hostages, you know? People walking around with, saw on the screen there, a Netanyahu mask with red hands, blood on the hands, getting battered by the busies. So internal strife can quite often lead to wars coming to an end. So as much as we're seeing scenes of riot and whatever, there's some hope there. But anyway, I'm off to walk me dog. All the best, chaps. Dib, 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 dob, 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 and all that. Bye.